Hey guys, coming with another movie review for you guys, and this movie we're reviewing, I was very iffy about this movie going into it. I really was. I mean, this was the kind of movie that seemed very Oscar baity. It didn't really seem like a movie that would be that good, and that movie is Concussion. Concussion, like I said, it was a film that felt very just Oscar baity to me. Every scene in the trailer was just, it looked very cheesy. It looked like they were doing whatever they could to get an Oscar, and I really wasn't looking forward to the film because of that. However, when Will Smith was nominated for Best Actor, I became a bit more interested. I'm like, okay, is he really that good in the film? Does he really deserve it? Because he was nominated for Best Actor at the Golden Globes. That's a pretty big deal. So I was very interested in seeing if this movie was any good. And to my surprise, Concussion is a good movie. I thought this was a pretty good movie for the most part. Now, is Concussion a great movie? No. It's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. Definitely, it's a good movie. It's not a really good movie, but it is a good movie. And we'll talk about some of the things that work, and it definitely was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Let's get to the plot of Concussion, which I really do like the plot of this movie, I have to say. Basically, we mainly focused on this character of Bennet Omalu, who is a Nigerian pathologist who is very much into the idea of death and things like that. And one day, there's this man, Mike Webster, who's found dead in his pickup truck, and basically, Ben Omalu starts to discover that this could be from head trauma from being in football, and he basically tries to convince, he basically wants to do something about this. He wants to contact the NFL about this. He wants to stop this from happening, and basically, that's basically the plot of the movie. It's kind of his fight against the NFL, and it sounds very interesting, and it is interesting to a degree, but we'll get into the things that work. The things that work in this movie really, really work. I was very worried about Will Smith, I have to say, honestly. I was very worried. Mainly because of the fact that I didn't really see Will Smith doing this role. I mean, his accent seemed distracting, but to my surprise, this is by far one of Will Smith's best performances in years. I think he did an incredible job in this movie as Bennet Omalu. He had this character down perfectly. It's by far the thing that works the best in this movie is his character. If Will Smith would not have been as great, the character wouldn't have been as great. And the character himself is a very interesting character. This is a character that thinks about death a lot. He's obsessed with the idea of death. He thinks of death as, the way we live or the way we're going to die. Just a lot of the theories that he had I thought were very, very interesting. And it kind of separated himself from the other characters. They did a good job at showing how this character was quite extraordinary, and they definitely did that very, very well. Dr. Ben Omalu, of course, is a real person, and I really think he had this character done very well. The accent as well, I didn't find distracting. It really worked. I like that Will Smith was trying to do something different. Because you know what? He does the same, when you do the same voice in every movie, it doesn't necessarily work. It's like, well, you know what? That sounds like this character. And this sounded very distinct. It didn't even sound like Will Smith, and I love that. He really got into this character. And I really believe that he was Dr. Ben Omalu. I didn't believe he was Will Smith. I believe he was Dr. Ben Omalu, and he really does deserve the nominations he's been getting because he did a very good job here. Alec Baldwin, I thought, was also really good in this movie. Definitely, he did a very good job as the friend of, he ends up being one of the friends of Mike Webster, and I like the conflict between these two. Definitely did a very good job. I liked his character overall. Who I wasn't as big as a fan of was Gugu Mbatha Raw as Prima, Bennett's wife. I was not a fan of her. I really wasn't. I mean, to me at least, I found her to be quite unnecessary. I really felt like the love story, I understand, like, it's part of his life, but I felt like they focused on it way too much. I really didn't feel like we needed the over reliance that we got of it in here. A lot of it felt very unnecessary, and I wasn't as big as a fan of her as I wanted to be. She wasn't necessarily a bad character. In fact, I thought she was a pretty good character. She was well developed. They had some good scenes together. Her and Will Smith do have good chemistry. Just me personally, I didn't find her to be all that interesting. She wasn't bad. I just didn't find her to be nearly as interesting as some of the other characters. And I really felt they focused a little bit too much on their relationship. She was good overall. I definitely did like her character. And there are some very good scenes between these two, but I just wasn't a fan of her. I don't know what it was. Just something about her I wasn't a fan of. But besides Will Smith, the other character that works so well in this movie is Albert Brooks. His character, I fucking loved. I loved everything about his character in this movie. Because the thing about his character is that he is sort of on Bennett's side. Like, he does understand what Bennett is trying to do, but he is trying to tell him, hey man, look, there are some boundaries that you just don't want to cross, and if you cross them, I'm gonna go ham on you, pretty much. Which I thought he did a great job portraying the character. There's some really great struggle between these two, and it was very mature as well. Like, you really see that he does believe Bennett, but there are just certain things that Bennett can't do that he's trying to do, and he really wants to cover some things up, and I thought he did a very good job with that. Of course, we all know that scene of Bennett, interrogating him to tell the truth. It's a very powerful scene. I definitely thought he did a very good job with that. Paul Reiser was very good here. Michael O'Malley was really good in this movie. I was surprised by how good he was. Overall, I thought all the acting was really great. Definitely, they all did a very good job. The directing here by Peter Landesman, I really did like. I have to say, I thought his directing was very good. The tone he had to the movie, was very good. Definitely a very good tone. And I like that the movie focused a lot more on the way this happened and kind of like why all this happened. He showed why the story is important. Definitely, I will give him props for that. He did a very good job with that. What doesn't exactly work in this movie is the screenplay. And it's not the screenplay's bad. The screenplay is quite good. In fact, I found the story to be quite interesting of just what's going on. When you realize why this is happening to these football players, and that the NFL really isn't giving a shit that these people are getting concussions and there's really nothing they're doing to cover this stuff up, it actually became very interesting, and I definitely really like that. And the character, just the way Omalu's theories are really great. Problem is the dialogue. The dialogue of this movie is a bit on the nose. It's pretty obvious what they're saying, and I just felt the movie was playing it safe a little bit at times. I mean, it does go into some dark places. Like, it definitely does take some risks. But I just felt like at times this movie was definitely trying to play it safe. At the end of the day, they were trying to portray the NFL as something good. They weren't trying to portray them in a bad way, which I understand. People would probably be really upset if they saw the NFL being portrayed in this bad way. But to me, at least, I say this is a story that you gotta tell it like it is. Don't try to cover something up. I mean, isn't the point of this movie is to not cover something up? And a lot of this movie, that's what it seemed like they were trying to do. Like, they weren't trying to tell the exact straightforward story, and a lot of it didn't work as well as I necessarily wanted it to, and I definitely didn't like that. Also, towards the second half of this movie, I really started to become disinterested, I have to say. I thought the first half was very, very strong, but there were definitely some scenes in the second half really started to drag the movie down. I really wasn't as big as a fan of it as I wanted to be. I did find what this movie to say about football very interesting, though. The fact that Will Smith's character, Bennet Omalu, doesn't like football. He's never even seen a football game. He doesn't understand how football works. That's not why, it's not because of football that he has these theories. It's just what he's thinking about. That's what he's thinking is going on. I definitely found that to be very interesting. I definitely really like that. The movie also had a very interesting message about the difference between America and anywhere that's not America. We all know this scene in the trailer where he's talking about how Nigeria is better than America. It's a very powerful scene because in other countries they have more liberties. In other countries they don't have to cover things up. Not everything's so PC. And I think that really is what he's trying to say in that scene. I definitely really appreciate that. I definitely really like where they were trying to go with that, and I think that was definitely very well done. A lot of the scenes in this movie, though, I will say definitely did drag on, and a lot of the characters did feel very just, like, typical, really. A lot of the characters, besides, Albert Brooks and Will Smith, I never was attached to any of the characters besides those two. I didn't really care about Bennett's wife, Prima, so when something happens to her in the movie, I just didn't really care because I didn't really find her to be that interesting of a character. Alec Baldwin, I really wasn't a fan of his character. I like what he did overall. I like his acting in the movie. I just didn't really care about his character, and I found a lot of the characters to be very, very one-note, and besides these two characters, I really didn't care about the rest of the characters in this movie. I definitely will say that. Also, this movie is way too long. It did not need to be 2 hours. It could have been definitely cut down a lot. It was never boring, but there were definitely some scenes that really did drag on and really just could have been cut down. Really, I wasn't as into this movie as I wanted to be. I really felt this movie could have been like a solid maybe like 108, 113. That would have been fine. Not 122. It did not need to be 2 hours. I really felt that was too long. The cinematography here is really good. I mean, they really do go far in terms of some of the medical scenes. There's some medical scenes that really are hard to watch, and I thought they did a very good job with that, and I definitely really like that. that I found to be very interesting. This was also something I became interested in. Like, this was a story that I want to look up. I want to see if this story told the honest truth and if there is something that they're missing. Because to me, like I said, it just felt like the movie was missing something, and I don't exactly know what it is. I've heard this theory that Sony just wanted to protect NFL's reputation, which is really stupid, and I don't necessarily believe it. But like I said, I do feel some of it was that. But I feel also a large portion of it had to do with the fact that the movie just didn't want to really get as dark as it could have gotten. They could have done a bit more with this story. They could have fleshed out some of the characters a bit more. And because that, it really wasn't as great as it should have been. I really did like the scenes of football, though. Just some of the best scenes in this movie are Omalu just observing football, his reaction, him seeing football. He's not happy that this is going on. He feels like this is something bad. He feels like it's something dangerous. He feels like something that shouldn't happen. And it's very interesting, and I really like seeing that. The score here, I thought, was a bit cheesy at times, definitely, but I thought the score overall by James Newton Howard, he definitely did a good job. I liked his score to the movie. But I will admit, the movie at times did feel Oscar baity. It really did. I mean, it really felt like they were trying to get Oscars in this scene. It really felt like they were trying to go really far with this movie. But like I said, they didn't go as far as they wanted to. I did really like the ending of this movie, though. I like the way the movie ended. I thought that was pretty good. But again, a lot of this movie really is Omalu against NFL, and we really didn't, I think, get to see the NFL's perspective in this movie. We didn't get to see how the NFL felt. I want to see more of, like, go into the NFL's history. Why are they trying to protect their reputation? What's going on there? That's really something they didn't exactly do, and I really wanted to see more of that. I don't really feel we got that in this movie, unfortunately. But overall, guys, I enjoyed Concussion a lot more than I thought I was going to. I definitely think it's a better movie. Is it a movie I necessarily recommend? Yes, I would recommend you see this movie. It's nothing I'll ever watch again, but I did really enjoy it. And overall, I am going to give Concussion a 3.5 out of 5 or a B minus. Overall, I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was really good for the most part, and I would definitely recommend it. But overall, guys, this is my review of Concussion. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. If you have seen it, what are your thoughts on it? What do you agree what I said about the NFL? Like I said, I just feel like they were trying to protect the NFL's reputation. Didn't really want to go into more of what was going on with that. But that's just this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. I have 10 more movie reviews to do right now for you guys until probably Thursday. So 10 more movie reviews, and then I will make my top 10. If you guys are wondering, that's my update, is that there's going to be 10 more movie reviews. But let me know what you guys thought of this movie, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be for another movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.